are you, sir? Good. How are you? I'm well. Guys good? Yeah. Good? All right. All right. Okay, good evening. Thank you all for being here tonight. Today is Monday, August 16th, 2021. In compliance with the Open Public Meetings Act of New Jersey, adequate notice of this meeting was provided on January 5th, 2021 by sending written notice and electronic notice to the Courier News and the Star Ledger, posting on the website and the bulletin board in the municipal building, and filing with the Township clerk. A subsequent notice with live stream information was provided on August 10th. You may join our meeting on live stream by going to https. Well, the website is meetings.ringcentral.com/join. In your browser, you can enter ID number 147-536-3772. You can also dial in by telephone at 312-263-0281. The same meeting ID number, 147-536-3772. Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Here.
Councilman Cardilla?
Here.
Councilman Nogales?
Here.
Councilman Ring?
Good evening here.
President Pedroso?
Here, thank you. If you're able to stand, would you please do so and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, thank you very much.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
if I may, before we get too far into the agenda, I know we do have some folks here from Bob Vaucher's family and friends, and out of respect for their time, I know there's been a lot of dialogue over the last several days regarding 12A, and it is apparent to me that before we move forward with 12A, it needs some additional work. Therefore, I make a motion to amend the agenda by removing 12A.
I want to accept your motion at this time, sir, because
Sorry, is that allowed, Council?
the meeting will be open to the public. There are members of the public here to speak.
Councilman, under Robert's Rules of Orders, that motion is proper.
Thank you.
Well, I think the motion would be inappropriate.
I just heard a second.
We have a lot of people here waiting to speak. I think it's disrespectful to their time. I would certainly, the motion, I would have no problem with that motion at the right time, but this
There's
is,
a motion and a second. If
I've
you
been-
can't call the vote, perhaps Vice President Cordilla should.
I'm just providing comment. The roll call will be taken. I've been on this governing body now for 10 years. We've never had a motion being called out of order from the agenda items like this. This is the first time in 10 years that this has happened. I feel very inappropriate. I think it's disrespectful. But one thing that we do have, thanks to Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Robert Boucher, what we do have in this country is a democracy, thanks to people like him who fought for our freedom. So because of Mr. Lieutenant Colonel Boucher, we will do that roll call.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedroso?
I would not support the table at this time. Okay, well, we move on to item number 4, minutes for approval. Are there any comments, or is there a vote on the minutes for July 8th and July 19th of 2021?
I'll move the minutes.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedroso?
Yes. Township Council reports. Councilman Kirsch.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm pleased to report it's been a busy month. Great to see so many activities, so many organizations being active. I'm going to give a brief summary of some of the events I've been to the last few weeks on August 5th, on behalf of the Township Council and Mayor, I attended the dedication of Chase's chairs at the Bridgewater Public Library. This is really a heartwarming story. Megan and Justin Munson of Neshannock Station, during their time in our community, had spent a lot of time at the library. Unfortunately, they suffered the loss of a premature son, but have turned that heartache into what I believe is a very strong positive by donating a sizable sum of money, resulting in the creation of 10 chairs, 10 rocking chairs, which will be, or already have been, or soon will be distributed to the 10 branches of the Somerset Library, including Bridgewater. So I was happy to attend that, representing our governing body and mayor, along with Mr. Pappas. Later that day, went over to the mini library, which was dedicated just over here by Kidd Street. Council members may recall a presentation made by the Girl Scouts explaining the project, so that came to fruition, and Councilman Pedrosa was also there. And then that same day, Relay for Life of Bridgewater occurred at Duke Island Park. That is a major fundraiser for the Cancer Society, and I was at that event with Councilman Pedrosa and Councilman Norgalis. On the 7th, I attended a very interesting event, dedication of associated with the Mobile Justice Initiative. That was an event in Hobbstown. And the short story, and this may be something worthy of bringing to council's attention at another time, is a gentleman affiliated with the church was able to acquire 2 vehicles, one of which is going to be retrofitted into a soup kitchen, the other is going to be retrofitted into essentially a computer lab, so that both of those can go into various communities and essentially deliver important services to those who may have less means of accessing them where they may otherwise be located. And Councilman Ring was there. Also had the opportunity that day to attend Hillsborough's Purple Heart Veteran Ceremony. Sorry, going back to the Mobile Justice Initiative, I was able to speak at that event. One of the things I called the group's attention to was, not only is Hobbstown a historic neighborhood, not only is it, I believe, a wonderful Bridgewater story, but the spirit from this Mobile Justice Initiative, I think, is yet another example of where our community bands together and pays it forward. And I think that's a wonderful accomplishment for Hobbstown and everyone associated with that. Last Wednesday, I believe all of us were at the baseball team's send-off on their trip to Iowa to the 14U World Series, so that was certainly a great send-off for them. This past Saturday, I had the opportunity on behalf of our residents as a council member to attend Bob Vaucher's Celebration of Life. Several others were there, and it's my desire that we work collaboratively to identify a well-deserved and fitting tribute to Lieutenant Colonel Vaucher that can be broadly supported and embraced by the mayor, full council, and ultimately our community. And then my final report is associated with the census. I know I was one who brought attention to that during calendar year 2020. The final numbers are in. And Bridgewater's population rose from 44,464 to we now have 45,977 residents. That's based on the count done on April 1st, 2020. That's an increase of 3.4%. For some comparison, Somerset County population increased 323,444 and is now 345,361. That's an increase of between 6 and 7%. So we grew 3.4%. Our surrounding county a bit more than that at 6.8%. And that's my report, Mr. President.
Thank you, sir. Councilman Ring.
All right. Along with Councilman Kirsch, I also attended the Mobile Justice Mr. Gino's Soup Kitchen and Computer Lab launch at Hobbstown. And then last week, we had a promotion here in this room within the police department. Detective Riley was promoted to Sergeant Riley. Later that evening, as Councilman Kirsch mentioned, I joined the rest of the council at the 14U send-off at Prince Rogers. I don't know if anybody's heard anything. Have they played a game yet?
I think the bus just arrived in Iowa.
No, it was a 16 hours.
Yeah, they were due.
made it to Iowa.
They were due the next day, but
Yeah.
4-3 yesterday. Thank you. And then, as Councilman Kirsch mentioned, also attended the celebration of life this past Saturday for Lieutenant Colonel Bob Vaucher, and I echo Councilman Kirsch's comments regarding hopefully we can come together and come up with a tribute in an appropriate manner to Bob through the council and the administration. That's my report.
Thank you. Councilman Nogales.
Thank you, Mr. President. The faith-based committee coordinated by our police department includes all religious organizations in the township. The planned program for the July meeting was postponed until October 19th quarterly meeting in order to accommodate one of the organizations. Timing is everything. The council approved the resolution to purchase and install a new pump, the Gilbride Storage Pumping Station, a few weeks ago. And that was fortunate. One of the other 3 pumps has failed, and tonight we will have the opportunity to purchase an additional pump using virtually the same resolution as last month. The Eisenhower Road work, which was done with state grant support, has been completed in time for school opening. This will be especially pleasing for school bus drivers handling Eisenhower School, who will note both entrance and exit streets have also been paved. The completion of the sewer work on Old Farm Road is tentatively scheduled for the week of Thanksgiving. The entire street will be repaved as part of the work. I also attended the Relay for Life in support of the American Cancer Society. And lastly, I too saw the 14U baseball team off on their 16-hour trip to Iowa. That is my report. Thank you.
Council Vice President Cordillo.
Okay, for my report, I'd like to say that I attended the send-off for the under-14 team to Iowa. Certainly wish the young men a lot of luck, and my advice was to go there and play your heart out and have some fun while you're doing it. I also had the privilege of attending the memorial celebration of Bob Vaucher's life, and I do have to say that what impressed me the most, certainly his service record is absolutely sterling. It's absolutely the best. But what I walked away with was a better understanding of Bob's commitment to family and community. And I do have to say the commitment to family is what I take as the high mark of the day, considering everything else that he's done, as significant as those contributions were. As Mike and Tim have said, I look forward to working on committee to come up with a proper dedication for Bob.
Thank you, sir. I attended the Somerset County Regional Center Partnership meeting. We also had an animal shelter meeting at the end of the month in July. I'm pleased to report that the animal shelter is in solid financial shape. On August 4th, I went to the championship for the Not in the Face Kickball League. That's what it's called. Nicole Rutigliano started a kickball league here in Bridgewater Township for women 40 and older. The league grew. I think they had 6 or 8 teams. I don't recall, I'm sorry. But it was quite something. And the township helped by providing fields, so thank you to the administration. It was a very successful event. They had a lot of women participate. A lot of families showed up, so it was a good time. I also attended the Relay for Life, as some of my colleagues have said, and went to the 14U Bridgewater Panthers send-off. Good luck to the team. I wish them the best. And this weekend, I had to drive my first-year student daughter to her UNC Chapel Hill dorm. So because of that, unfortunately, I wasn't able to attend the celebration for life for Lieutenant Colonel Boucher. I wish I could have been there. I did provide a video. I think because of time limits, the video wasn't played, but I certainly wish I could have been there in person. So that's my report. Mayor?
Mr. President, if I may just make one additional item that I just failed to mention. One of the afternoons last week, I met with Mr. Genova on site where we're doing some pavement sealing in the Milltown neighborhood. Just, want to report back that what the feedback I've heard from local residents is that they're very happy to see a very cost-effective solution being put in place. For members of the public who may not know, this is not a full reconstruction of roads, but is really just sort of a high-level resealing, for lack of a better phrase, that adds dramatic life to otherwise to roads that may otherwise deteriorate over a period of time. So this is where an ounce of prevention is going to give us a pound of cure. And it was a particularly hot day, but the crew was working through it, and it's good to see our dollars in action.
Thank you, sir. Mayor's report.
Thank you, Mr. President. There are just two things that I would like to report on behalf of the administration. One is there will be a request that we've discussed with the President to have a special council meeting for a couple of items of business, primarily to deal with the road program. There was one other item that I received a request from our tax collector because of the timing of the approval of the budget and then the subsequent State Department of Community Affairs certification of the budget. There would be a need to have the council consider a resolution that would extend the grace period. But the main topic that I would like to report, and actually I'd recognize Tom Genova, Director of Municipal Services, and Bill Burr, Township Engineer, for Bill to make a report and give the council an update on the success of our road program. The administration, the mayor certainly thanks the council for its consistent and broad support for what we have been instituting. Your support has been consistent, and we appreciate the guidance that you've provided. But if he could come forward and give a report on what has occurred and take any questions that you may have in an effort to brief you on what we're requesting for this next week. Would that be possible?
Please.
Okay. Mr. Burr?
Good evening.
Thank you very much for having me tonight. Last time that we spoke, I think it was in April, earlier this year, when we were still meeting virtually. As we move into the second part of this year, we thought it would be a good opportunity to come in, give you all an overview of where we stand, what we've completed to date, and where we're headed with our road program. We really have accomplished a lot to date that I'm proud of. We have a lot of work left to accomplish to round out our 2021 road program. I know everyone has seen a lot of work taking place to date, but I'll just give you an overview, kind of a summary of the projects that have been completed since the beginning of the year. That includes finishing our 2020 county cooperative purchasing resurfacing program. That was on Donald Drive, John Christian Drive, Ron Court, Voorhees Lane, and White Street. So those roads were all milled and resurfaced. We did complete extensive work on Twin Oaks Road, Steel Gap Road. That included drainage improvements and full road reconstruction. I thought that project turned out real nice. In addition, we recently finished improvements on Woodland Terrace on the east side of town. Again, drainage improvements, road resurfacing. Councilman Norgalis just mentioned we finished through a state grant. We finished improvements to Steeplechase Lane. That also included the entrance to Eisenhower Road on Eisenhower Ave, as well as Perry Ave, the exit road. That project was. We have two projects that are ongoing right now, under construction. One is Garfield Avenue. That project is about 3/4 of the way finished. We anticipate in the next 2 to 3 weeks that project will be completed in its entirety. We also have Old Farm Road. Old Farm Road has been ongoing for quite some time. We have a lot of work left. We've done a lot of work, but we have a lot of work left out there. And I anticipate certainly before Thanksgiving, hopefully sooner, we'll have that project finished. You probably also have seen the gas company, PSE&G, doing extensive work on Mine Road, Mountaintop Road, Crim Road, and some of the offshoot roads. The gas mains were replaced at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. The gas company, as a condition of their permit with the town, fully resurface those sections of roads. So Mine, Mountaintop, Prim, and then Renway. I'll talk about the other roads in a minute. And then as Councilman Kurtz just mentioned, we did just complete the first phase of an extensive pavement preservation program. That is essentially pavement maintenance. You're resealing roads before they get to the point where they're falling apart. It's an economic way of buying useful life, extending the useful life of your roadway. We estimate, depending on the level of traffic on a road, you could extend the life of the road by 6 to 12 years. So it really is money well spent extending that roadway. That project was just completed on Friday. One project that is very important, it's been in the hopper for a while, and we joke internally, I hate to say we joke, but it's Billion, Morton, and Klein. It's a very difficult project. It includes, it's multifaceted. It includes drainage improvements, sanitary sewer improvements, full reconstruction. We're getting to the point where the design is getting finalized now. We're looking in the next month or so to get that project advertised for bids so we can get that project underway as well. First phase, that's going to be a two-phased project. First phase will be improving the sanitary sewers. Second portion will be the road work. The sanitary sewer work should take place this year, or at least commence this year. The road improvements will finish next year. As you can tell by that summary, we've been busy. We've had quite a few roads completed, but as I mentioned, we have a lot left to do, and that is our 2021 road improvement program. We were before you back in November, if you recall, and we presented the results of our universal road assessment, and that was an undertaking where we examined every roadway in town, some 600 roads, and through the artificial intelligence program, we assigned a roadway ranking for every road based on its condition, its existing condition, a 1 to 5 scale. And that told us, if we were closer to 5, that road was in very poor condition. It needed a lot of work soon. If it was closer to 1, it was in very good condition. So we've used the results of that to structure our 2021 program. When we were before you in April, again, we had not only discussed the rankings, we also took it a step further, and we proposed how we were going to utilize or rely on those rankings to structure our program. And what we came up with was splitting the town into 6 geographic regions, each region having a number of roads that we were going to improve or reconstruct. And we did rely on that ranking system to come up with our road list. And if you recall, we had proposed a 5-year road program that at $8 million per year, we anticipated addressing or improving all of the very worst roads in town, the top 50 roads which needed full reconstruction, as well as about 150 additional, what we called yellow roads, which were more mill and resurfacing type roads. So we felt that we really could improve the majority of roads that were in poor condition through this 5-year program. So the 2021 road program, where we're at right now, we have 6 regions. We have awarded engineering. You folks have awarded engineering. We have completed engineering design on all 6 regions. We have accepted bids on all 6 regions. You have approved construction contracts for 5 of those regions. One of the projects started today, and that was work on Mallard Drive, Cricket, North Gaston. That was the area that we call Area 5. The remaining 4 areas for which you've awarded contracts for, I anticipate in the next 2 to 3 weeks, those projects will start construction as well. The 6th area, which is area number 2, which is in the southwesterly portion of town off of Milltown Road. There are 3 roads there. That is one of the reasons why we've asked for a special meeting. That project took longer to complete the engineering design due to some drainage issues that we really need to do we needed to perform a deeper dive into how to improve. One of the roads is Brahma. We have accepted bids. We would like to make a recommendation of award at the special meeting next Monday night at the 23rd. At that point, all 6 projects will be awarded, and that's what we have to focus on moving forward through the end of the year. My hope is to have them all built this year. That's certainly the hope. There is material shortages out there, particularly with pipe. Many contractors are reporting back that they're having a hard time getting materials, pipe work, which is what we need to improve the drainage of these projects. As long as that doesn't get any worse, I'm confident we're going to get all this work done this year, but you never know. That is the goal. That 6-region program consisted of about 30 roads around town. Because we've opened bids on those 6 areas, what we found in the climate, the bidding climate right now, is very attractive, and we're seeing very competitive bids. And as a result of bidding those 6 regions, we're finding that we're significantly under budget in terms of what we originally anticipated. So what we've proposed is the township taking on a seventh group of roads to improve with the cost savings that we've recognized to date. So what we pinpointed were 7 roads. I'll list them for you, and then I'll give you the reasons why we selected those roads. So the first road was Dow Road, and then the 3 cul-de-sac roads off of Dow. That would be Allison, Beth, and Powelson. We also proposed to improve Madison Avenue, McKinley Street, and Park Avenue. I'll take a step back. When we had discussed the $8 million annual improvement cost, we broke that down into a couple of different categories. The first being, as Councilman Kirsch mentioned, pavement preservation. So we set aside an unofficial amount of money that would go towards pavement preservation every year. We also set aside an amount of money for resurfacing work, which is similar to what the township has done in years past through the county. Although in 2021, we did not engage the county, frankly, because we weren't prepared with a list of roads that were turnkey in my eyes. And then the balance of the $8 million would go towards the reconstruction of roads. What this group of roads consists of is the bucket for the resurfacing, for the work that we would customarily do through the county resurfacing program. So 1 through 6 is largely reconstruction roads. This 7th group would take care of the resurfacing roads, and then we've already taken on the pavement preservation, which is the microsurface. Why did we pick those 7 roads? As we took a look at our 2021 program, those were roads that always stuck out at me as roads that were in need of improvement. They weren't red or orange roads in terms of being total reconstructs, but they were roads that needed improvement. And if we didn't improve them sooner than later, they would have fallen into a state of disrepair that then would have costed us much more to improve them. So there were roads that are in need of work. They are roads that rank high enough on our road assessment that were good fits as far as what we want to accomplish. They were all roads that fell within the list of roads that we had committed to improving over that 5-year program. Frankly, it met the budget. When I did a cost estimate of how much that would cost, it met the budget of what we had remaining from the other 6 roads. And then finally, we were looking for roads that were turnkey. You know, we're moving into the latter part of August here. If we didn't put roads out on the street for bidding that were ready for construction, if we had to do heavy engineering, there's no chance we would get them built this year. So we were looking for roads that needed minimal engineering, met the criteria of our road assessment and met our budget availability. And that's how we came up with these roads. You know, I also took a look at the history of complaints that we've received, probably since 2016. Every road on this list, except for the cul-de-sac roads off of Dow, all of those roads did have some level of complaints about the condition of the roads. I did forget to mention that we did include a small section of Park Avenue with this project as well, which is on the far east side of town. It's one remaining stub of Park Avenue that for some reason was never improved. It really does need work. All the other roads over there are in very good shape, except for that one. And then the final reason is Dow Road has a firehouse on it. And we always take a look at whether there's public facilities, schools, fire, rescue on these roads. Those are the ones we really want to target first. So if I mentioned Area 2, which we've bid, and I'd like to present to you Monday night at a council meeting for award. We've bid Area 7, the group of roads that I just mentioned. That was one of the reasons why we moved forward with bidding, is to try to take advantage of the competitive bidding climate. I'd like to present, if you're in agreement, that package of roads for a contract award at Monday night's meeting. And then earlier in my presentation, I mentioned that we've already improved a number of roads that the gas company replaced the gas mains on. Those were Mine, Mountaintop, Crim, and Wren. Well, they also completed gas mains on several other roads. Sherlin Drive, South Brook Road or South Brook Drive, Cornell Road. Those roads needed more work to improve them than just a simple resurfacing that the gas company would have done. So we pulled those roads off the table as far as the gas company doing any work for them. The gas company has agreed to give a payment in lieu to the township to cover their portion of work. So what I'd like to do is also advance engineering at this point for those roads. So Sherlin, Southbrook, Cornell, and then there's an additional road, Newberry Street, that's in what we're calling Area Region 1. That's a road that is the worst road right now as far as the roads that are not going to be completed with the 2021 program. We didn't include it with the first round of road improvements for a few reasons. One was cost concerns. Two was timing. We didn't think that we could get the engineering done in time to move forward with our Region 1 bidding that took place a month ago. So another matter that I'd like to present Monday night is advancing engineering on those roads, which would allow us to get one step closer to putting them out to bid. And finally, because of the success that we had with the pavement preservation program, we'd also like to move forward with a second phase of that work. And what we've pinpointed is a neighborhood on the east side of town, Shady Lane, Deerfield Lane, and some of the roads in that neighborhood off of Vossler Ave. The pavement preservation process, you have to be very selective for what roads you pinpoint for that. You can't identify a road that needs too much improvement, because then it's not going to be a worthwhile investment. So we have to find roads typically that are anywhere from 8 to 10 years old, depending on the amount of traffic they have and the condition. But if you're talking about minor cracks, those are perfect candidates. And if we can get those sealed, it's easily going to extend 10 to 12 years on the useful life of those roads. So we've identified a package of 5 roads in that neighborhood that we'd also like to present for approval Monday night. All of the work that we're talking about does fall within the $8 million that was previously approved by this body. So I think it would be worthwhile and certainly allow us to get the rest of this work done this year as we ramp up for 2022. So I think that's all I had. I don't know if anybody has any questions for me. The only other road I forgot to mention, Stony Brook Drive is a road that, much like Steeplechase Lane, the town received last year from the Department of Transportation. Stony Brook Drive is under design right now. We're trying to get the design done in the next few weeks. We then have to send it to DOT for approval. If that approval comes through, we'd like to try to get that project out to bid as well. That was funded in the 2021 bond ordinance as well. I don't know the timing yet when we get the approvals, if we're gonna get that project built this year, but certainly, if we can't get that started this year, that's gonna be first to go next year. I know it was a lot, but we've made a lot of progress. Does anybody have any questions?
Excellent summary, thank you. Using a term from a number of years ago, it sounds like the Dow Road are shovel-ready, where basically you can move forward without some elongated engineering things.
Exactly.
Good for you, good for us.
Yes.
Great summary, really.
Mr. President,
Yes, sir.
just a quick compliment to you and also to the Office of Constituent Relations, because I think not only is this work important, I think the communication about this work is critically important. And just to give an example that I'm sure all of us on the dais have experienced, I ran into a gentleman at the baseball event last Wednesday. His grandson was on his way to Iowa, and he said, I got to tell you, we love Bridgewater. Our road's a mess. We all hear that a lot. And I exchanged emails with him, and I said, look, we have a website for that. The entire 200 plus miles of roads has been surveyed, and there is a plan, over the next handful of years. Just having that resource and being able to give that specific of an answer. I'm not saying maybe everyone likes the answer, but we're able to give a very specific answer. So both to you, your staff, the Office of Constituent Relations. I think not only are we doing the right thing, I think we're communicating it and giving people an understanding of what's going on in their community.
If I may, are we, Madison, are we looking at the entire length of Madison?
We are.
Okay. And then you mentioned PSE&G, and I know from earlier this year, they're looking to do additional roads this year, gas lines?
Additional roads beyond.
So they did some soil samples off North Bridge Street, Foothill Road area in anticipation of replacing gas lines. Is that still targeted for this fall?
They have not identified when
Okay.
they want to start construction. They've indicated at this point it's likely to be 2022.
Okay.
Because of some resource issues.
Yep.
There is a chance they may try to advance a few roads later this year, but I don't know that yet.
All right.
They are planning a robust gas main replacement.
Have we started to look at those roads that they've identified to see which ones they will resurface versus which ones we're going to need to do more work?
We have.
Okay.
We've looked at a few things, and in fact, once I saw the list of the roads that they wanted to do soil sampling on, we compared that list with our 2021 road program list, the 30 roads I mentioned. There were 3 roads that had an overlap. Mountain View and Victor Street were reconstructing this year.
Okay.
Also, Old Farm Road, they wanted to replace the gas main on that. I indicated that project was weeks away from starting construction. They mobilized quickly, replaced the gas main on Old Farm, and then they also just completed the gas main work on Victor in advance of our work. No other roads that we're proposing right now are going to be impacted, but it's something that we're definitely looking at as we start looking at our next year's program.
Good. Okay. Thank you. Well done.
Mr. Burr, one question. I assume their gas main replacement is for volume to customers. There's not a safety issue related to the old mains, is there?
It's an age issue. Much like PSE&G is replacing the transmission towers through town because the infrastructure is aging. My understanding is the same thing for the gas mains. Because they've reached their useful life, now is the time to replace them. So they have a full listing of all the gas mains in town, the age, the material, and they're starting to identify neighborhoods that need new gas mains. Not necessarily to increase the volume of distribution, as I understand.
Thank
It's
you.
more of an age.
Bill, before you go, could you just talk, there's a resolution about Rolling Hills Road application submission. Could you just take a moment? Yeah.
So I mentioned 2 years ago, the town received a DOT grant to improve Steeplechase Lane. Last year, we improved a grant to improve Stony Brook Drive. And in keeping with that neighborhood approach of trying to improve access and walkability to the schools, we identified the Rolling Hills neighborhood as a candidate for this year. So there's a resolution on the agenda for approval of submitting that application to DOT for monies to improve those roads, that pocket of road, kind of that neighborhood that's tucked in between Garrettson and Country Club Road. So that would be fiscal year, I guess, 2022. DOT grant.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Anything else, Mr. Pappas?
No, that's it. Thank you, sir.
Now, it's my understanding that in order to fund these roads, this governing body will have to take action, and I believe that we'll be seeking a special meeting next week for that purpose. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. So if anyone in the public is listening in and they were here and they heard his presentation and they're interested, they should plan that next week there'll be a special meeting to address this issue and to approve or not approve funding.
And I think, Mr. President, we talked about, since it's a special meeting and there's a limited agenda, we propose that would be virtual.
Yes. Yes, my understanding is the only matter on that agenda that night will be the approval, the consideration of approval of the bond for these additional roads or the
award of
expenditures.
the award of contract for this Section 7 that Bill described, additional pavement preservation, engineering design for Coriel and those roads, and Region 2, the award of contract for Region 2, which is one of the original 6. And then I just mentioned the tax collector just needs that resolution to extend the grace period. That would be all that the administration would request.
Very good. Thank you, sir. Moving on to item number 7, we have a proclamation to a celebration of Hobbstown's 100th anniversary. Mr. Pappas, would you like to present that?
Sure. This is a proclamation signed by the mayor and the council. Whereas in the year 1920, Amos Hobbs first purchased land off of what is today North Bridge Street in Bridgewater Township, thereby beginning a legacy which is today priceless not only to the families of Hobbstown, but to the entire Bridgewater community. And whereas in the years following, Amos moved from Brooklyn to Bridgewater alongside his brothers General Washington and Robert Hobbs, all of whom later invited other family members and friends from Georgia to join them in the new place they would call home. And whereas this community of families formed the core of what we know today as Hobbstown, which has stood, endured, and thrived in Bridgewater through the past 100 years. And whereas successive generations of Hobbstown families and residents have witnessed and lived through a century's worth of seminal and transformative events, movements, and moments of American history. And whereas many of these have moved us ever closer toward the fulfillment of the founder's promise and the realization of Martin Luther King's dream. And whereas in the years, decades, and generations since its founding, Hobbstown has become an integral part not just of the social fabric of our community, but of Bridgewater Township's living history. And whereas the residents of Hobbstown have made and continue to make invaluable contributions toward the welfare and betterment of the entire township, county, state, and country, most particularly to the benefit of Bridgewater Township itself. And whereas so that all Bridgewater residents can join together in the celebration of the Hobbstown centennial, the township government has directed the installation of flags on Monmouth Avenue and North Bridge Street, which recognize the Bryant, Hicks, Hobbs, Miller, Murdoch, Proctor, Sermons, McCrae, and Tukes families for the decades during which they've acted as the very foundation of Hobbstown and as a pillar of Bridgewater Township. And whereas all citizens of Bridgewater and their elected and appointed representatives are immensely proud and grateful to have Hobbstown, its generations of residents, and its legacy as a treasured part of their community. Now therefore be it resolved that I, Matthew C. Mensch, and the members of the Bridgewater Township Council, on behalf of the citizens and government of Bridgewater Township, do hereby warmly congratulate the residents of Hobbstown on the centennial of its founding, recognize the indelible mark generations of Hobbstown residents have left upon our community for the better, express our immense pride that Hobbstown has for so long been an integral part of our living history, and declare our everlasting support for Hobbstown residents, their community, and our common legacy to the next 100 years. And it's signed by the mayor and council.
Thank you, sir. Members of the public should be aware that on August 21st at 10:30 a.m., there will be a celebration to recognize Hobbstown's 100th anniversary at the Hall Health Center at Prince Rogers and North Bridge Street. I presume everyone's welcome to attend, and I hope they do. It's also worth noting that, but for Lieutenant Colonel Boucher, Hobbstown may not exist. Lieutenant Colonel Boucher was, at the time when 287 was being the expansion was being proposed, Lieutenant Colonel Boucher was actually invited down to Trenton to discuss the project, and he was very influential in having 287, the route of 287 extend further west to avoid cutting through Hobbstown, and as a result, that community was not displaced and Hobbstown was saved. So it's well worth noting that this evening. Okay, we move on to item number 8. Meeting open to the public. At this time, members of the public wishing to address the council and on any matter will be allowed 2 minutes to speak unless there are unusual circumstances. This would be the time for members of the public to address this governing body.
Motion open.
Thank you, sir. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Ma'am, name and address
Hi.
for the record.
My name is Michelle Smith. I live at 662 Foothill Road, Bridgewater, New Jersey. I have 3 separate things. I'll keep under 2 minutes so nobody has to time me. One is thank you very much to the mayor and council. I have nothing to do with Little League, but it was so nice to see everybody there and everybody non-politicking. I thought it was a great send-off. Also to Councilman Kirsch and Councilman Cordella, I wanted to thank them for showing up at the Women Veteran Appreciation Day, which wasn't very well attended by the women veterans, but you should see the Facebook pages about how cool it was that people from the council came. So my major complaint is the fact that I drive to work every day. I kind of talked to Scott about this, but I didn't give him details. But today, there was almost an accident on the corner of Washington Valley Road and Crim Road. There are trucks, landscaper trucks, that park on both sides of the roads. And this is Foothill, mine, Crim, Peyton, sometimes I go, all the way down Washington Valley, Long Road. Even the Federal Express trucks and the Amazon Prime, you know, where all of our paychecks go, they park in the road. This causes a danger to not only the people who are driving, but to the kids who are walking in the road, to the joggers, to the bicyclists, and to people walking their dogs. Can we find a way, please, to evaluate if this is really the best thing for our community? I mean, I know FedEx and UPS and all that, they have a time limit on how fast they have to go, but that's not the problem of the people who live here. That's only to benefit a company and that one person getting that package. So if you could look into that, I'd appreciate it. And the third thing I'd like to say is it is nice hearing about Lieutenant Colonel Boucher, but I also want to remind people or ask that we not change the name at this point in time. We laid off government employees who work for Bridgewater. We have people who can't pay their rent but are staying in homes that the landlord's not getting the rent. We have people who are out of work. I think that sensitivity to our community is that we just table this for a little bit until things start getting back to normal. And then, yes, let's have a celebration where everybody could come and celebrate the life of Bob Boucher. Let's celebrate everything that this community stands for, and that is for please putting the citizens first at this point in time. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next. No, thank you. Hello, good evening. Name
Good
and
evening. Donna Lazardic, 254 Altamont Place, Somerville. Don't hold that against me. So, first of all, I want to thank everyone who was in attendance at Bob's Celebration of Life, Lieutenant Colonel Boucher's Celebration of Life on Saturday. It was a great event. Many people up on the stands there were there, as well as many people here from Bob's Life in the community. So much thank you. Thank you a lot. And also just for over the years of things that you've recognized Bob for, you know, the resolutions and things that you've recognized him for, that's very much appreciated. Bob was a humble guy. He didn't do these things. He didn't do what he did for Bridgewater over 70 years of living here out of wanting recognition, but he also did appreciate it when it came. So thank you very much. I want you to hear from Bob today.
After returning from war, I got involved in civic affairs, joining the Somerville Lincoln Hose Volunteer Fire Company. General Bowers, who headed the vestry at St. John's, took me under his wing, and I became active in the church. I was elected to the vestry and chaired the 1956 capital campaign to enlarge the parish hall. Our social life revolved around St. John's, from pancake suppers to men's clubs and the bowling league. When we moved to Bridgewater, I quickly got involved in local government and school affairs. In 1960, Millicent Fenwick recruited me to the Northern New Jersey regional manager for Nixon campaign. I still say that Kennedy stole the election.
Just had to throw that last piece in. So, Bob always liked to have the last word in terms of these meetings, so I thought I would give him a word. So I just want to also mention that I know the resolution's been tabled for tonight, and I can appreciate that, but I would like for everyone who has the opportunity to view the video produced by Council President Pedroso. He's known Bob in his civic affairs for 20 years, and he documented the numerous significant accomplishments that Bob initiated and led and championed over his 70 years in Bridgewater. Really, so that future generations never forget the legacy of Bob Boucher and learn from his example. I think he really was a mentor to many people, including many up here and many out here in the audience, that, you know, any kind of naming would, I think, be not only a legacy, but also a reminder, and not to ever forget those that have come before and what they've done, and what then we can do as a result of that. So, you know, Bob always rallied his community, came to town meetings, stepped up to the mic, and spoke truth from his heart for countless causes over the decades. And now, really, it's our opportunity, the next generation, the mantle has been passed to the next generation to really do the same. And many of that next generation are sitting where you're sitting, as well as sitting out here in the community. And so I appreciate that. So as you consider what you want to do going forward, I'll just let you know that I stand ready, as well as many in the community and the Boucher family, to stand ready to support the conversation and the ultimate decision. So thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, good evening.
I'm Yvonne Boucher. I'm Lieutenant Colonel Bob Boucher's daughter, and I grew up here in Bridgewater at 449 Foothill Road, although I now am a Californian, having deserted, unfortunately, New Jersey, except intermittently. For the family, we really appreciate the acknowledgement on the part of the township of all the contributions that Bob Boucher did make to both the formation of the council and the way the whole township is organized. And I was actually very happy to see today was the 100th anniversary of Hobbstown, because Hobbstown wouldn't be here if that road if 287 had in fact gone through the middle of Bridgewater, including Hobbstown. So I hope I'm able to come to the celebration on on the 21st, and perhaps I'll see you there. So thank you very much, and we very much appreciate the efforts of the council to acknowledge all his contributions throughout the year. And thank you for that beautiful video, Councilman President. It was really such a beautiful and accurate presentation of all the various things that my father was involved in from 1950 to the time really he died in this past year. So thank you.
Thank you. We need your address for the record, please.
Yvonne?
We need your address for the record.
Oh, I'm sorry, 607 Fern Glen, La Jolla, California.
Thank you.
Good evening, Kathy Franco, 766 Weemack Road. I come to you tonight to speak on the resolution that was proposed for this evening related to the renaming of our Township Municipal Building. Please let me begin by stating that I recognize the many contributions that the individual proposed has made both to this country as a veteran and as a volunteer advocate in protecting sections of this community or participating on committees. I wholeheartedly admire and am grateful daily for our veterans and current service members who have done and continue to do so to protect our freedoms. I am the child of a veteran of the Korean War, the niece of 8 uncles who served in World War II of the Korean War, the neighbor and cousin of individuals who served in the Vietnam conflict, and the cousin and friend of individuals who have served or are currently serving our nation in conflicts abroad to protect our country. Many have returned safely to our homeland, but some have not. In addition, I admire and am grateful to all volunteers of our community, whether their service is volunteering their time to serve on boards of adjustment, planning boards or other township-appointed boards, PTOs, as leaders of Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, 4-H clubs, robotics clubs. I'm grateful to the Mask Squad and Vaccine Angels, who during the past year and a half have served this community tirelessly and without any motivation but to contribute to the fabric of our community. I look at the recent history of Bridgewater, the politicians, the citizens, of business owners and residents who have contributed to the fabric of our Bridgewater to make it the place it is today. The Mayor Jim Dowdens, who served our community as mayor for 20 years, mayor from 1984 to 2003. He also served as president of administration at Raritan Valley Community College, past president of the New Jersey Conference of Mayors, founder of the first drug commission in Somerset County, and the governor's task force of shared services, and president of the American Heart Association for Somerset County unit. I look at other resident veterans, such as Frank DeVita, who served as a gunner's mate, 3rd class, and crewed a Higgins boat with 15 D-Day landings. I look at Steve Califer, who created a new downtown venue for Bridgewater residents, where he developed the family-friendly Patriot Stadium in Bridgewater. He was the founder and chairman of Flemington Car and Truck Company, whose company has paid for parking at the Somerset Medical Center, now known as Robert Wood Johnson, Somerset, and was the chairman emeritus of the Somerset Patriots baseball team. He was closely involved with numerous community and charitable organizations. He was a well-known philanthropist and was inducted into the New Jersey Hall of Fame in 2020, a member of the Robert Wood Johnson Barnabas Health Board of Trustees, chairman emeritus of the Somerset Healthcare Foundation Board of Trustees. He was chairman and founder of the Princeton American Communications and Healthcare Information Network, which produced and broadcast more than 600 hours of healthcare educational programming to 400 hospitals throughout this country. And let us not forget the individuals who put their lives in danger as volunteers on a daily basis on behalf of their citizenry. Robert Stewart Forsyth. Bob joined the Martinsville Fire Department on October 1st, 1962. He took his time with the fire department as important as his profession, spending countless hours attending fires and meetings, as well as holding the positions of president, chief engineer, secretary, chief, and lifetime member. He was awarded the Schaefer Fireman of the Year in 1975, the Schlitz, if I pronounce that wrong, Fireman of the Year in 77, Bridgewater Volunteer of the Year in 2003, and Bridgewater Township Education Foundation Award in 2006. On January 18, 2013, and again in September of 2018, the mayors of Bridgewater officially extended congratulations, appreciation, and gratitude to Bob for his countless contributions to the community. In addition to the Martinsville Fire Department, Bob earned his qualifying certificate in 1970 from the New Jersey State Firemen's Association. He spent the next 43 years as secretary, retiring in December 2020. He was recognized for his years of service by being awarded the lifetime position of Secretary Emeritus, a position created especially for him. Howard Bixler, who after his retirement from AT&T found his true calling as an EMT and rescue squad member. He worked with the Martinsville Rescue Squad for 32 years as a volunteer and served as captain and trustee, as well as caregiving first responder. Howard was also a devoted teacher of life-saving skills and mentor to many who aspired to make a difference in life, as he did. I was one of his students. George Schofield, who was born in Bound Brook but chose to raise his family in Martinsville, New Jersey. After graduating from college, he proudly joined the U.S. Navy. Following his tour in the Navy, he entered into the family business. He spent his career continuing to build the business into a thriving natural stone distribution company that continues today with locations in 7 states. His retirement enabled him to focus his time on family and community, where he spent 15 years as a proud volunteer of the Martinsville Rescue Squad, driving for the team up until he was 87 years old. He was so proud of the work and dedicated members that he served with at the squad. So in closing, I recognize that Lieutenant Colonel Vaucher has already had the Wemple property renamed in his honor and recognize the contributions he made towards making that happen. I would ask that the council members who are to vote on this resolution recognize the contributions of so many citizens of this township and take caution in not selecting out a single individual upon whom they would bestow this honor. Because for me, it is the citizens' building. It is our municipal building. It is here to serve the current and future generations of citizens. I pondered why the building was not named after anyone at the time of its construction. Likely it was because there were so many persons throughout the history of Bridgewater to be thankful for, and therefore we need to be careful in choosing just one. Thank you for your time this evening. I hold my trust in your hands tonight and in the future to do what is best for the interest of our township. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Diane Veneroso. I live on 595 Bridgewater Avenue in Bridgewater. I'm here to address the introduction of the ordinance amending Chapter 206, Vehicles and Traffic. You know what it is. I have pictures here if you're interested in what I'm saying. I'm afraid you may have gotten the wrong impression about what my complaint was. And I prepared a statement because I don't want to stand here and ramble. So I understand that the corner of Findern Avenue and Main Street is busy and it's a safety concern, but that corner has safety measures in place. It has traffic lights, it's been widened, it's got crosswalks in place, etc. So, you know, it can handle the traffic, I believe. However, we've lived on Bridgewater Avenue for more than 40 years. It's always been a cut-through for car traffic. That's not my issue now. My issue is, in the past year, it's become a pass-through for heavy trucks like this. Long flatbeds carrying, I don't know what. There's a tow truck here carrying a wrecked vehicle. So my issue now in the past year has been the pass-through of the heavy trucks of long flatbeds hauling long pipes. The route they take is straight down Bridgewater Avenue. So from Findern Avenue, they cut down Bridgewater, go all the way down to Adamsville Road. There's no safety measures in place that protects school children who are waiting for the bus or playing outside. There are no sidewalks on the street, and the road is barely wide enough for 2 cars to pass. Most people park in their driveway. Those trucks would never be able to make the turn down the streets that you propose to make not. I mean, it's ridiculous to even think one of these trucks would be able to go down that street. One of the members on this panel is familiar with where we live, and so you know the streets I'm talking about. So, you know, it doesn't make any sense. And in fact, Thomas Street, and you were talking about road repairs before, is probably the worst street in Van Buren. But anyway, that's beside the point. So restricting those trucks on those streets wouldn't turn. They would never turn down that street. They'd never be able to make the turn. So those trucks would never use those streets. So it would be a wasted vote if you're going to, you know, just don't bother with it at all. If you're going to let everybody go up and down Bridgewater Avenue and restrict those roads, that would be a waste because those trucks wouldn't go there anyway. My issue with the heavy trucks, several times a day, I would like to request that the township impose a weight limit for Bridgewater Avenue only. Just put a weight limit on that street. If the decision is to allow heavy trucks to use a residential street with a lot of children who live here and play here and wait for school buses with no sidewalks in order to spare the corner, my opinion is that there is no concern for the families and children who live on Bridgewater Avenue. If traffic safety is your concern, then consider putting a weight limit on Bridgewater Avenue for the safety and concern of the children who live there. Would you like to see these pictures?
Does anyone on the council want to see the pictures?
I'd like to see.
Yeah, well, I'll pass them around the council. Thank you. Are they all the same?
No.
If I may,
Okay. Okay, we'll look at the pictures. Thank you for your comments. Great. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Lisa Denoyer. I live at 16 Hillcrest Road in Martinsville. I also own some property with my family on Steel Gap, and I have property in Park Avenue. So, thank you for all the paving. Very much appreciated. And while I'm on that, whoever decided to carve out the Vossler-Hillcrest intersection thing, brilliant. Should have been done 30 years ago. Thank you. I came for Bob tonight. I wasn't planning on speaking, but I want to speak because it's Bob. I've known him my whole life. He protected our neighborhood from a number of different things. He created a school system that I was very happy to come here for kindergarten through 4th grade at Grinnell. Absolutely. Bob Forsyth was wonderful. George Schofield was wonderful. There are a number of wonderful people. But Bob O'Shea was truly incredible. And when you think about what he's done through his military service, his professional service, but most importantly, his community service, I want you to remember that. And when you do decide to bring this resolution forward, please make sure we're aware of it, because we'll come back. This is Bob. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Good evening. Name and address for the record.
My name is John Veneroso. I live on 595 Bridgewater Avenue. Lived there all my life. I'm 78. I've lived on that street when it was a dead end. It used to be a trucking company down at the end. That was the end. So the trucks did have to come out. They had no other way out. Okay, so that trucking company's not there now for years. And there's a contractor in there. They have very light pickup trucks, which is, you know, basically like a car. Like I said, I lived there all my life. A couple things I'm concerned with. Of course, I'm concerned with the children walking on the street, especially when they're going to school. Now, right now, it's not bad. It's daylight out. But when they're getting picked up during the fall and during the winter, they have to walk on the street. There's no light. Matter of fact, the one light that was on the corner where the big pickup is on Wharton Avenue in Bridgewater. They did away with the light. They moved it down because they made another entrance for more houses, and they're on the Damio property. But that, where they put it, there's also a big spotlight on that pole. So they need two lights there. Like I said, my children are grown and gone, so I'm not concerned. But I'm concerned, one of my neighbors came over and said, "John, you mind if my son cut across your lawn?" I says, "Absolutely not. Not to let him walk on the sidewalk, on the street." So that's my concerns. And I don't know when you're going to vote on this resolution or whatever it is, but I got in touch with a few of my neighbors, believe it or not. A lot of them are on vacation, but I'm sure they would come up here. They all have children. They're all concerned with that, the heavy truck traffic. I don't think Bridgewater, it's 100% residential, so I don't think there's, we should have heavy trucks around. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I'm Suzanne Vaucher, 449 Foothill Road, Bridgewater. I'm just totally extemporaneous, and it's just a minute or two. I think there's no question that many, many, many people have contributed countless hours and...
Why don't you move the mic a little bit closer to your... Yeah, there you go.
Okay. Have contributed countless hours of their heart and time to making Bridgewater better. But I think we need to remember that Dad, Bob Vaucher, this whole system here wouldn't be the same system if he had not been involved with changing the way government was here. Maybe the Votech School wouldn't be here. Maybe High School East, where my sister attended, would not be here. I think there's a lot of, the police department wouldn't be here. He was very involved with all these things, and I think that we shouldn't forget that, because it wasn't just that he was a veteran. He spent 70 years of his life wanting Bridgewater to be a wonderful place. That's it.
Hey, ma'am, could you repeat your name and address for the clerk, please?
Suzanne Vaucher, 449 Foothill Road.
Thank you. Anyone else? Going once, going twice.
Move the
Motion to close the public.
Second.
I heard a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Public portion is closed. I just want to say that although I would have supported Resolution 12A as written, I respect the governing body, and I look forward to working with my colleagues on doing an appropriate recognition for Lieutenant Colonel Vaucher in the manner that we all feel appropriate. However, just for the record and for members of the public here, and to understand why this governing body is even considering recognizing Lieutenant Colonel Vaucher, I just want to highlight a few things. Just bear with me. Why it is that he was really special. And again, we've had tremendous amounts of residents here in Bridgewater have contributed so much, and I agree with Ms. Franco. I agree with you. There are so many people here who've done so much for our township, and we're so grateful for them. Lieutenant Colonel Vaucher, 2 days after Pearl Harbor, flew his first combat mission. Until September 2nd of 45, for 46 months, he was in active duty. He received did 117 combat missions, received 2 distinguished flying crosses, 5 air medals, 8 battle stars, 13 wartime commendations and citations doing military service. Besides that, he's a national aviation historical figure. He is the first pilot to fly a radar-equipped bomber in combat on April of 1942. He was the first one to fly the B-29 Superfortress bomber from the Boeing airfield to the Air Corps in July of 43. He piloted the first test flight of the B-29 at the highest altitude at the time of 38,000 feet. In June of 1944, he was a combat commander of the first B-29 strategic combat mission against Japan in August of 44. He had the longest nonstop World War II combat mission 4,030 nautical miles. That's an 18-hour, 15-minute round trip between India and Sumatra. In May of '44, he was the air commander leading 454 B-29s. That's the longest in-trail assembly of bombers in history in the attack of Japan. September 2nd of '45, he was the lead pilot of the historic show of force, where he led, I believe it was 525 B-29s over the battle of over the USS Missouri during the surrender of Japan. In 2013, he was inducted into the New Jersey Aviation Hall of Fame. In 2014, he was accepted as an eligible nominee for enshrinement into the National Aviation Hall of Fame. I'm going to skip some of these because there are just so many. When it comes to Bridgewater Township, he moved to Bridgewater in 1950. He joined the Foothill Civic Association soon thereafter. He did so much for our township with that organization as well as himself. Lieutenant Colonel Boucher, as we call him Bob here, he led a referendum in 1965 to establish our police department. At the time, Bridgewater was serviced by the state police. As the town was growing, the state police wasn't really able to fully service our town, and Bob led the referendum to get us a police department that still exists today. He had children in town as his kids was growing up, and he realized, hey, we need a high school. Bob led a movement to start a high school, and he's the guy that went to the state of New Jersey, spoke to the Board of Education. He realized that in order to get a high school here, we needed a district, and so Bob went to work, and he looked around different townships. Raritan was the ideal borough, and because of Bob's foresight, we had the Bridgewater Raritan Board of Education. In September of 1959, Bridgewater opened its high school, and we can thank Bob for having that vision. As the town kept growing and Bob thought our government needed some change, Bob went to the Rutgers University Political Science Department. He met there, made some recommendations, came back, and he made some recommendations that we change our form of government. And so now we have a mayor-council government. And again, Bob was involved in passing that referendum. When there were many lots abandoned around Bridgewater Township because many, many years ago, there was a developer that sold off small lots, and people were looking, I guess, city people looking for places to live over here in the urban Bridgewater, and they bought these lots, but they abandoned them, and so Bob worked hard to get a law passed that would eventually result in the foreclosure of these lots, and now we have the Bridgewater Commons in that location. Bob was involved in our sewer system since 1960. Every master plan we have in this township has Bob's fingerprints on it. He was involved in involved in every hearing regarding zoning and planning, and probably very few zoning laws that we have in this township where Bob wasn't involved in some way or another. I already mentioned Hobbstown. Bob was appointed to a 6-person committee to explore the possibility of creating a county college, and by a 3-2 vote, Bob being that 3 vote. We have Raritan Valley Community College. And not only that, I mean, Bob went and he not just did he vote for it, but he went and explored. He went to the different states, went to Hartford, went to Long Island, looking at different community colleges, and came back, and he was instrumental in getting that passed. In 1965, Raritan Valley Community College opened its doors. And then, of course, we have the Wimple property here, where we all know he worked so hard to preserve that land, and he really led a movement to preserve 36 acres of pristine open space land here in Bridgewater Township. So I think it's, it's just, to me, it's bigger than Bob Boucher. It's really about what he stands for. It's really about that he has those characteristics that we want to create as role models. I mean, this is a person who did so much looking for such little back and recognition. He did it because it was best for the township that he loved. So I mean, that's, I think, why this governing body is looking for ways to recognize Lieutenant Colonel Boucher in some way or another. So I look forward to working with you guys and getting that accomplished. Anybody else? Anything else to add? No? All right. Moving forward to, we have no public hearing and final action. Item 11 is introduction of ordinance. So 11A, an ordinance amending Chapter 206, entitled Vehicles and Traffic, Section 206-33, entitled Schedule 5, Trucks over 4 tons excluded, to add Bellicone Street, Thomas Street, and Evergrande Street to the list of roadways that trucks over 4 tons are not permitted to utilize within the township. Mr. Pappas.
Thank you, Mr. President. This proposal to amend the ordinance would add several roads in the Findurn section to roads that would have weight limitations added. We've certainly heard from members of the public. Our offices have received numerous complaints. The police department was contacted. There is a memo in your packet, and there's also a street map that Mr. Genova had prepared that outlines the proposed additions colored in pink. I do think that there may be some thoughts here on the dais from members of the council about maybe some additional roads, and certainly would be anxious to hear about those.
Thank you. Councilman Vice President Cardilla, I know you're eager to speak.
Yeah, I do have some comments on this proposed introduction of this ordinance. Diane, John, prior to you getting here, I have Bridgewater Avenue written down. I support the ordinance, but I support the introduction of it with the caveat that when we set the date to act on the ordinance, I'd also like to see what plan we have in effect to enforce the ordinance. To me, that's extremely important. Most of the work that we're going to discuss this evening with this ordinance on Bellicone, Evergrande, Thomas, and so on, those streets are affected because of the problems that we have on Adamsville Road with trucks coming from Route 22 to what I'll call the old Egan property, which has multiple occupants today. Once the trucks get to East Main Street, they have a problem going down South Adamsville Road because the residents are blocking the street, so to speak, with their cars, forcing them to, in my opinion, go down to Bellicone and Evergrande, make a left and a right, and then back down to the manufacturing facilities. I know our police department is working on a plan to put some teeth into this ordinance as far as enforcement goes, but I'd also like to ask that as far as verbiage goes, and Mr. Corsini, I'd like to add Shaw Avenue, Wharton Avenue, and Bridgewater Avenue to this. I don't think that's a substantial change to the intent of it. I can give this information to Mr. Pappas. But I'd also like to see the township look into taking an extension of Van Vechten Drive, which is accessible from Findurn Avenue to go down Van Vechten Drive and have a road cut in to tie into Quarry Lane, which would take all this truck traffic that we're complaining about here and have them get to the property that they're going to, those manufacturing facilities, the old Egan property. I know that's not going to happen overnight, but I absolutely would like to see a strong effort put in to work with Somerset County to see what we can do to cut an extension of Van Vechten Drive to Quarry Lane, which in my opinion, would eliminate a lot of the problems that we're talking about on residential streets today.
So Councilman Cardilla, if you'd like to add roads to the resolution, certainly there's no issue with that. You just have to amend the resolution. You have to make a motion to amend the resolution.
The ordinance?
Ordinance, yes, the ordinance.
I would make a motion to do that, yes.
Okay, I think you should just say for the clerk again which roads you want to add
The roads that I would like to add are Shaw Avenue, I believe, Wharton, which is Wharton, and also Bridgewater Avenue from Findern Avenue to Adamsville Road.
Mr.
Why don't we have
Pappas, can we
discussion?
ask the police department to look into those?
Yeah,
to
we'll
make
certainly
sure
ask the
that,
police and Mr. Burr as well.
There
He's-
is a
He's
motion.
taking notes.
Why don't we have discussion on Councilman Cardilla's recommendation to add those roads?
I'm going to second his motion to add those
All
roads.
right. Is there any comment?
No, my only comment on this, as long as that is acceptable to the administration, to engineering, and to the police, I think that's an outstanding set of additions.
I can't see any objection. Well, certainly, Mr. Burr's here, Mr. Genova will talk to the police, and certainly between now and the public hearing, which would not be until September the 9th, we'd have ample time to review it.
Okay, very good. There's a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
Well, oh, I'm sorry.
Councilman Firth?
Yes?
Councilman Cordella?
Just to clarify, are we voting on amending?
You're voting on
Okay,
amending?
just to amend it, right?
Yes, we have to
Okay.
vote again on the introduction.
Councilman Cordella?
Yes.
Councilman Ordalez?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. Is there further discussion or a motion?
I'll make a motion to introduce 11A with those amendments.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second
I would just add for the record that I would support having the administration further review for our public hearing.
We will.
Did you hear that, Mr. Pappas?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any other comments? Roll call, please.
Councilman Firth?
Yes.
Councilman Cordella?
it. Yes.
Councilman Ordalez?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes, I agree that trucks over 4 tons should not be on these roads. Yes, please.
The public hearing will be set for the 9th day of September 2021 at 7:30 PM here in the courtroom, 100 Commons Way. And copies will be made available on the website.
Thank you. Moving on to resolutions. Resolution 12A was tabled by motion of Councilman Ring and voted on, so therefore that item has been tabled. Moving on to 12B. Resolution 12B is 2021-2022, renewal of plenary retail consumption liquor license the numbers on the resolution for Mish J.O. Investment Corp., trading as Green Oak Grill, with conditions. Is there any comments, Mr. Pappas?
No, Mr. President.
Does anyone on the council have any additional comments or questions?
Sounds like we're going to hear from them.
Well, we don't, I mean, if you agree, we
Yeah.
don't have to.
No, I'd like to.
You have questions of the applicant?
Are you planning a presentation, or are you just?
I have a few things I'd like to report to the board and a few things I'd like to discuss with the board on behalf of my client.
Okay, very well.
First off, I want to thank the board for the time they spent a couple months ago going through the proposed resolution with myself and my client. My name's Lisa Barata, I represent the Green Oak Grill. I'm an attorney at Chiesa, Shahinian, and Gian Tomasi out of West Orange. First, I'd like to just report to the board a few things. I believe you all got a copy of the July 2021 incident report filed by my client regarding incidents as defined in the proposed resolution regarding any interaction with a police officer or anything involving an ejection from the premises. Just wanted to note that for the record. I also would like to note that my client has had their employees take a TAMS class, which is Techniques of Alcohol Management.
Council President,
shut
they
the
can't
door.
shut the door.
You can't shut the door.
Okay.
No, it's not you, Lisa.
No.
It's them in the back.
Hey, Mr. Genova, do you think you could pop it open for us on the way out? Could you pop open the door? Yes. Thank you, sir.
It's got to stay open.
That's what we got. Now wait a second till the door is open.
No problem.
Okay, please proceed.
Great. So I just wanted to advise the board that my client last week had techniques of alcohol management course taught to its staff. It was a well-attended class, well-presented class, and its employees who attended were certified in accordance with the pending resolution. Also, its security guards and staff members.
I'll take care of it. I'll take care of it.
Let's pause for a second.
Sergeant or representative of course.
Yes. Don't want to get in trouble for Oprah, or Sunshine Law, rather.
Mike, something's wrong with that door.
You gotta put the foot down.
Good. Please proceed.
Thank you. Its security guards will be undergoing SORA training as proposed and required by the renewal resolution in the coming weeks, and we will report that to you when that is completed also. So those are positive steps to come into compliance and show my client's commitment to being a good licensee and continuing to be a good licensee in the township. We have a couple of things we'd like to discuss with the board. I can just point to the first one. Paragraph 1, the security guard on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings. Green and Gold would like to request that the Wednesday security guard be removed from the resolution, as they do not tend to have a crowd of any large sort on Wednesday evenings. And as a result, there is generally no need for a security guard. And they would like the board to consider removing the Wednesday security guard from the resolution. Second, paragraph 2 regarding year-round music. The paragraph where it mentions, the second paragraph, outside from March 1st to November 1st. There are specific hours. My client is requesting that the board consider allowing music until 10 p.m. on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings versus 9 or 9:30. And
Which evenings? Sorry, which evenings?
I'm sorry?
I didn't hear the evenings. Saturday and what else?
Thursday, Friday, and Saturday evenings till 10 p.m. The noise ordinance in Bridgewater kicks in at 10 p.m. What we're looking to add or requesting to add is basically an hour on Thursday evening, an hour on Friday evening, a half an hour on Saturday evening. And then finally, Sunday, music is permitted from 12 to 2. My client's requesting if that could be changed to 12 to 5. They've had requests for private parties, weddings, birthday parties, christenings and other events to be held outside, and only allowing entertainment between 12 and 2 does limit their ability to serve a customer or request to have outside entertainment for longer than just 2 hours. Okay. In addition, my client requests that you allow us, based on COVID, to come before you with regard to paragraph 10, should there be a requirement by the state or due to an increase in COVID numbers to allow my client to remain open on the terrace patio area between October 30th through March 31st after 6 p.m., especially in light of the fact that the director of the ABC has given licensees the ability to have an outside expansion of premises due to COVID, and those permits were granted through November of 2022. And then finally, condition 14. There was a lot of discussion last time about last call, and when last call was made and the board decided to go in the direction of allowing last call to be made whenever it is appropriate based on the size of the crowd at the bar. But the board requested that last drink be served at 1:15. The Green Hill Grill is requesting that the board consider having last drink served at 1:30 instead of 1:15. And in exchange for that extra time to serve their patrons, the Green Hill Grill will not admit any new customers or new clients coming into the bar restaurant after 1 a.m. So there'll be no new admittance after 1 a.m. in exchange for allowing last drink to be served up.
Mr. President, I'd like to suggest a marked up copy to show before and after, because I'm trying to keep track of the things, and quite honestly, it's not really appropriate to try to go over this and then write in copies. My suggestion is we get an annotated copy and have it available for the special meeting next week, and that way everybody will see everything on the piece of paper as opposed to conflict dialogue.
Our meeting next week is virtual, and really it'd be better to limit the agenda. Why don't we, let's tell you what, how many, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, is it 4 things, 4 issues?
Four conditions.
4. Okay, number 1 was to remove the Wednesday security guard, right? Is that number correct?
Condition number 1, correct.
The security guard.
Yes,
Okay.
Wednesday evening.
Why don't we just go through it? What do you think about that? Comments?
I would support it if we, in its place, said any planned special events. So we would remove Wednesdays, but if you're planning something, whether it's Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, you're going to have a security guard for a planned special event. So Super Bowl Sunday, boom. That would be.
My client would agree to remove Wednesdays from the mandated one security guard, but replace that with any special event.
I'm just one vote, though.
I would agree with Councilman Lane.
You got 2 votes.
Okay.
Anybody else? Councilman Kirsch is shaking. Very good. Number 1 issue is resolved. Number 2, paragraph 2, year-round music. You want to change the music times Thursday through Saturday to 10 p.m. and Sunday to 5 p.m.
Remember that we're talking from March 1st through November.
I mean, the times, your music time limitations were not there because of the ordinance, the sound ordinance. They're there because you guys have had issues with noise, and that's why they were there. But any comments, Councilman Orgalis?
I'm not particularly in favor of expanding the time for that type of entertainment.
Councilman Vice President Cardilla.
I just want to confirm, we're talking about the outside music from March 1st to November 1st?
We're talking about,
Did I understand that correctly? And we're talking about Thursday, Friday, and Saturday to go, to add an hour to the 9 p.m. and an hour and a half on Saturday.
At a half an hour on Saturday. From 9:30 to
So basically go from 4:30 to 10 p.m. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. No, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Thursday and Friday would be 4:30 to 10 p.m. Saturday would be 6:30 to 10.
And then Sunday till 5 p.m.
And Sunday,
instead of
12 to
2 p.m.
Sunday till when?
till 5.
5 p.m.
So it would be a changing from 2 p.m. to 5 p.m.
Sunday's request is primarily due to private parties and private events that people request to be held outside with entertainment.
Anybody feel strongly either way that wants to share an opinion?
I'm sorry, I'm just a little bit confused. The difference between your request and what we discussed last time is exactly what?
For Sundays, the difference would be instead of 12 to 2, it would be 12 to 5. And then on Thursday and Friday evenings, it would be 4:30 to 10 instead of 4:30 to 9. And on Saturday evenings, it would be 6:30 to 10 instead of 6:30 to 9:30.
right now on Thursday and Friday, their music has to end by, well, the sound issue is until 9 p.m. and Saturday until 9:30. They want to extend it till 10. Is there any strong feeling either way about it? Anybody?
There's a lady on her hands and knees out there in the lobby. I'm not sure what's going on, but.
She okay? Maybe she's praying.
No, she's doing something.
Scott's going out.
She may be packing up some photo boards she had put up.
Okay. I see somebody.
I think to your question, if we were going to allow it, I think there needs to be some kind of trial period for it. Don't know what exactly that is, but I think it would have to be a test per se of 90 days or something if we were going to allow it.
I mean, right now, because we've had so many issues, I would just keep it, my opinion is just to keep it the way it is until, we see some improvement overall. But that's just my, so I'm more of Councilman Orgalis, but I need someone else to give an opinion either way. You three guys are up.
I think I understand the Sunday time till 5 o'clock, private parties. That I don't think is an issue. Sure. The 10 o'clock, Tim, I didn't hear your comments completely, but I guess what did you prefer to give a trial period?
If we were going to do it, I would suggest a trial period, if we're going to do it.
I would agree with that.
But now, how are you going to monitor this trial period?
If we get a complaint.
Complaints. If the neighbors are picking up the phone, calling, then...
If there's a valid substantiated complaint, then all bets are off. As we've seen this evening, we received an email regarding complaints, and quite frankly, there was nothing that came about because of those complaints.
I wish Chris were here, but I don't know how you can ordain that and say, hey, we're going to allow it, but if there's a certified complaint, all of a sudden, void.
You do it for a period of 60 days or 90 days and say we're going to reevaluate it after that time.
I'm saying we get a complaint and it's valid and we're going to change everything.
No, I think you do it for a period of time and then reevaluate it.
Councilman Kirsch, you're the last one up.
I'm inclined to make the change for Sunday and leave the other days.
So we have a mixed result here. So who's okay with Councilman Kirsch's proposal?
I'm okay with the 1 hour on Sunday, but I'm not.
It's 3 hours on Sunday.
2 to 5.
Okay, 2 to 5 is
All right,
okay.
you got vote number 2, I'll vote number 3 for that. So you got...
Not for the other extension.
Right.
I think Mr. Crudilla deserves equal credit for that idea, but yes.
All right, so...
Go with yes for Sunday.
Okay, so yes for Sunday and no for Thursday through Saturday. Okay, so moving on to the next item, October 31st. What paragraph was that?
Number 10.
Number 10.
President.
Tobacco patio will be closed after 6 p.m. from October 30th through March 31st. You want to extend it to what? To
We're just requesting that if there are issues regarding COVID and outdoor dining subsequent to October 30th, we would like the ability to come back in to discuss extending that 6 p.m. dinner time.
Yeah, I mean, if there are issues regarding, I think this governing body would be open to discussing anything. Yeah.
That's all, we're just.
Just from a legal point of view, Chris, I apologize, you're walking in here, but.
Sure.
So on number 10 on this, the talk is if there's a shutdown again, and we're looking at outdoor dining. If we wanted to amend number 10, can we do that on a standalone?
I think once it's done for the year. I mean, Linda's on her
So
fair
we-
share of these two. I think once it's done for the year.
So can we add some language in there that says, in the event of a state of restaurant shutdown, that that we would look at it, or?
I don't think so.
Technically, an ABC special condition can be relaxed. It can't be enhanced during the time.
Don't those, as I understand the ones that were done previously, though, they were subject to local approvals?
Explain what you mean by local approval.
So when the ABC extended and allowed facilities to expand outdoors? Yeah, I thought that's what we were talking about here, I'm sorry.
No. Oh, all right. I was talking about conditions on renewal resolution.
Gotcha.
Renewals of liquor licenses in general.
Okay.
Conditions can be relaxed by either
Got it, my bad.
issuing authority or the, a request or,
So why can't, if that's true, why can't they just come back and make the request later?
That's what we're asking you if
So
we
then-
could do
yeah,
that.
then I mean,
They
the-
come back
Yeah.
if there's
so
an
why-
issue. and we-
Why does it have to be amended? Why are we amending it now then?
We're not.
We're not, we're
no,
just
we
making
already-
sure that we're clear to amend it later, in the middle of their.
I mean,
may or may
that-
not.
That wasn't my understanding, but Ms. Barata worked for the ABC, and so I would defer to her on that.
Okay, so
Okay.
everybody's synced on that.
Yep.
Number 14, the last call from 1:15 to 1:30, and then they would not admit any new customers after 1.
it's last drink served at 1:30, last call is appropriate based on size of
Correct. Yep.
number of patrons, but no new admittance of any new patrons past 1 a.m.
I mean, my personal opinion is that there are very few people that are going to show up after 1 a.m. anyway, so, I think the 1:15 was already extended the last time from what we were being
Death by a
proposed.
1,000 cuts, went from 1 to 1:15, now it creeps.
Mr. President,
I will not,
the last time we discussed this, 1:15 was a compromise
Yes.
to kind of just break a bit of a logjam. I don't think there needs to be any further breaking of a logjam.
With the understanding we would reevaluate it after 90 days. So if we were to approve this tonight, or it's spelled out in here, subsequent to the passing of this resolution, we would reevaluate in 90 days time period.
Okay, great, so there you go. Removing of the Wednesday security guard, replacing it with, having a security guard for special events. You got the time extension on Sunday from the 2 p.m. to the 5 p.m. And the other things were no.
No, the COVID.
Well, no, it's no right now, but we all agreed that we would consider that as deemed appropriate.
right, we're not going to change it.
Yeah, and we
Yeah.
have been, this governing body just has been very cooperative with local restaurants when it comes to COVID-related issues. So, okay. So is there a motion with those amendments?
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
I think Councilman Kirsch made the motion and seconded by Council Vice President Cardilla. Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cardillo?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ray?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. Thank you very much.
And while you're here, did you guys get did you get information for Restaurant Week?
Did you get information from her?
We'll make sure you do.
I still couldn't hear what he said.
Okay.
Tim asked the Reno Grill if they got information for Restaurant Week.
If you have information that you
Thank
can
you.
pass along.
We'll get you some. I'll make sure you do.
Could I, in that regard, could I have an email address for someone that we could send it to tomorrow? Great, thank you very much. Thank you.
All right, moving on to item 12C, award of contract to Atlantic Tactical of 772 Corporate Circle in Pennsylvania for the purchase of police uniforms, shoes, leather gear in the amount of $108,825.79. Okay. Mr. Pappas.
It's pretty straightforward, just uniforms and other associated gear for the police. This is a regular resolution, and there were 2 bids, and this is the lowest bidder. We've used them before.
Do we have the 2020 cost?
I think I had that. I don't, but I will get that. I do not have it, I'm sorry.
All right. Any,
Make a motion to accept this.
okay?
Second?
Great, roll call, please.
Councilman Burt?
Yes.
Councilman Padilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. 12D, award of contract to Rainer Pump Systems for the purchase and installation of a Sulzer-ABS dry pit submersible pump for the Joe Bright Sanitary Sewer Pump Station in an amount of $51,390, funded through the 21-13 Sewer Bond Ordinance. Mr. Pappas?
Yes, thank you. Councilman Nogales summarized this well. This will be the replacement of the third pump and will, for all intents and purposes, be a backup, a spare. There are normally two pumps that alternate. We don't have that full capacity right now, and with the replacement of this pump, we will be back to full speed.
So very, this is, I'll be happy to make that one. This is a very important purchase, by the way. People see the road work, but they don't see the sewer work. When Michael and I toured this facility, Michael Pappas and I toured this facility, there were three pumps there. One did not work at all, and that was the one that was supposed to be replaced as part of the previous bid. The main pump has gave out last week, and the other pump is, there is a bypass arrangement if necessary, but approving this one will get us back in having a real working primary and a backup. So
The third pump, how old is that?
they're all the same vintage, 1985.
I mean, other
Yeah,
than,
ultimately, we'll be replacing that third pump also, but there's also the 1965 version at the other pump station that needs to be worked. So this is all in conjunction with the $1.5 million that's in the capital budget right now, that's available in the sewer budget.
so we're prioritizing the 65,
Yeah.
but the other one
We wanna
over
be-
the third.
We want
I
to
got it.
make sure the residents in that section of Martinsville can continue to flush.
Understood. No, I just, you
To
know,
put it in its simplest terms.
the question I was questioning, should we just do the third one? But it sounds like we have other priorities.
I'll tell you, I would favor that, but that's a decision that there not only is the question of the pump, but there's also a question of the valves on each side of the pump. So at this point, I would feel better replacing the whole thing, but
You know, is there economy of scale if they're going down to replace a pump, you know, replacing two at once? Are you saving anything labor?
It's definitely a better thing in terms of economy of scale to have the same crew come in and do everything. But there are fiscal constraints.
Yeah, there are, and there's also, Bill has said that, Tom, that probably need to look at a broader design scheme that might mean other proposed changes, but this is necessary to keep functioning.
Howard made a motion, I'll second.
I did, okay.
I'm going to second this one.
And just a question before we vote, for our administrator, presuming we take this action in the next few minutes, when can we be up and running with this new pump approximately?
Supposedly within weeks, if not sooner.
Thank you.
Is there a motion?
You have a motion and a second.
Motion and a second.
Sorry, guys. Roll call, please.
Councilman Burt?
Yes.
Councilman Padilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. 12E, resolution appointing Alman Manian Allison, PC, as acting chief financial officer for the Township of Bridgewater for a period of 1 year, commencing on August 17th and ending on August 16, 2022. And Mr. Pappas?
The council designated me as the acting CFO. There's a limitation for 1 year. That has expired, and the firm that we have retained to assist with the finance office, we had discussed with them. They have individuals with the proper credentials that can fulfill that requirement for another year, and there's no cost. There's no additional cost. This is contained within their present contract with us.
I'll move the approval of 12E.
Thank you. For a second.
Second it.
Okay, roll call, please.
Councilman Burt?
Yes.
Councilman Padilla?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes, 12F, resolution authorizing the filing of a complaint for an injunction against Guru Realty LLC and Somerset Landscape Materials Corp. for numerous ongoing zoning violations. Mr. Pappas.
There's a packet for your review. I can walk through each of the documents. This is a property on Route 22, eastbound side at the Greenbrook border. There is a property owner that owns both property in Bridgewater and Greenbrook Township. There are several documents. I'll call your attention to a 2-page written document that our zoning officer has compiled, which is a chronology of all of her activities over the last several years, trying to get property maintenance issues addressed to no avail. There is a photocopy of an aerial photograph that shows the municipal boundary in a pen. You can see the western part of the property is in Bridgewater. There's a copy of the tax map, and there are 2 other color aerial photographs. One is from, looks like this. It's from 2015. that shows the area along Route 22, and then there's a comparison photograph that is more recent that shows the difference in the materials that are piled and stored. The property owner has removed the tenant from the site. The tenant, or the subject site is subject of a consent order with the NJDEP. Both Greenbrook and Bridgewater have been coordinating our efforts to get this site cleaned up. The DEP consent order, in my view, has not worked, and I'm being very polite when I say has not really worked. We had a virtual meeting, the 2 townships with the DEP back in, I think, February or March of this year. We made a plea that they would take steps to enforce their consent order, whose timeline the property owner or the tenant, the property owner is responsible, obviously, has not met. And we feel that between what the zoning officer is attempting to do, issue violations, send them to municipal court, adjournments are routinely granted. That has prevented the township from seeking a remedy with any teeth. And our legal counsel, who can comment here, has advised us that this is really the only other course of action that we can take. So perhaps Mr. Corsini could add his thoughts.
Administrator Pappas states the case accurately. Those are my thoughts. Well, very well said.
Did they fill in the pond or whatever it was? It looks like.
You look at those 2 photos, and there's something there in that pond that wasn't there before. So I think they have many issues that the DEP should be rectifying, and frankly, they've not done anything.
And a house dead smack in the middle of it, on the far right side, by the tree line.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be living there if it's on a well.
This house here, that's a business. You talk about, you said on the far right here?
By the tree line? Sits back. Doesn't change anything.
No. No, there's no bar there.
There's no dwelling on that property. I know that. There might be a structure that looks like a house, but there's no one living in it. Yeah.
That's a business over there. I would make a motion, we move this.
Second.
I have one question. These pictures are taken, how are these pictures taken?
Howard, this is Google Earth from the tax assessor assisted in providing these.
And how do we know the date of these pictures?
Well, he indicated that the one photograph from his file was from April 19th of 2015, and the other photograph, he said, is within the last 6 months. You can see there's no foliage on the trees.
My only concern is that I want to make sure that we're taking action based on, reliable information. That these pictures, Google Earth is awesome and all, and I, use it for here and there, but I'm not sure how reliable it is when it comes to time.
Zoning official, and I have been on this property myself.
Okay, perfect.
And
That's all I need.
these images are a true representation of what exists.
That's awesome. That helps me a lot. Roll call, please.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cadillo?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. Moving on to item number 12G, authorizing release of the performance guarantee and acceptance of the site improvements for McDonald's Corp. at 680 Promenade Boulevard, Block 350, Lot 1. Mr. Pappas?
The McDonald's there, just off of 287, had made improvements, including a drive-in and some other modifications to their structure, and this is simply a release of their performance guarantee.
Motion to approve 12G.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cadillo?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. 12H, authorizing change of scope to the professional services contract, increasing the contract price by the sum of $24,300 for additional professional engineering and construction support services for the Twin Oaks Road Improvement Project, Phases 1 and 2, to Benoni Associates, Inc., from the price of $75,000 to $99,300, funded through the 2019 and 2020 capital fund. That's an increase of about $24,300. Mr. Pappas?
The reason for the increase is during the actual construction project, there were certain excavation that took place, certain categorization of certain soils had to be disposed of differently that increased the cost.
Okay. Any questions?
I don't have any questions, but I would move it based on the information provided.
Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cadillo?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. 12I, authorizing the employment of the Valori Group LLC, 36 Gathering Hill Court, Morris Plains, New Jersey, as special professional consultant to review the police department's staffing and operations in an amount not to exceed $20,000. Mr. Pappas?
The administration is requesting this. We know that the Township had undertaken a review of staffing levels several years ago. With the introduction of the Pittman schedule, we believe that it's appropriate to review that, as well as general operations of the department.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Pappas, how was this organization selected? Who selected it? On what basis?
The administration is recommending it. This firm assisted us with the recruitment and vetting of the police chief candidates. They have extensive experience in consulting for municipalities and other governmental units for law enforcement-related issues.
So they've done this specific thing before?
Yes, yes, they have.
Okay, I'll move 12I.
Mr. President, I'll second.
I support this. There's nothing more important than the safety and well-being of our residents, and having an adequately staffed police department is at the core of that. So I commend the administration for looking into this, and it's a very important issue and something that we need to know what those numbers are. Keep our residents safe.
Mr. President, one other comment, because during the time of the current administration, there has been change, including the Pittman schedule. Obviously we've been through a COVID pandemic, and I think that in light of the fact that our community may have different needs now, this is a very good investment to guide us on future decisions.
Just one clarifying question on the proposal on item number 4. The report goes to the mayor, business administrator, and chief of police. I'm assuming that will trickle to the council.
Oh, of course, yes.
Thank you.
Okay, there's a motion, a second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Hirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Cadillo?
Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. 12J, approval to submit a grant application and execute a grant contract with the New Jersey Department of Transportation for the Rolling Hills Road Improvement Project under their 2022 Municipal Aid Program in the amount of $750,000. Pappas?
Mr. Burr discussed this earlier. Again, this is, each year the township can advance at least one request for funding, and this is the township's for this year.
Great.
I'll move 12J.
All right. Is there a second?
I'll second
Roll call, please.
Councilman Kirsch?
Yes.
Councilman Pedrosa?
Councilman Cordillo?
it. Yes.
Councilman Nogales?
Yes.
Councilman Ring?
Yes.
President Pedrosa?
Yes. Item 13, we have discussion item, road project update. Is there anything additional for that?
No, that took place earlier.
Yep, just making sure. Item 14 is the closed session. Mr. Corsini?
Negative.
Mr. Corsini shakes his head no. We move to item 15, which is adjournment. Is there a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, meeting is adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Have a great night.
Good night, sir. Thank you.
The live feed cut.